excited to announce our next speaker. Now, if you like community, which I imagine most of you probably do, hopefully, yeah, we got one person who likes community at least, then I think you're going to like our next speaker because he's talking about really the ultimate power of and cultural icon of this group called Burning Man. Now, many of you, I imagine, have heard of it. Yes, we're excited already. Stephen Raspa is going to be coming to the stage. He is at the helm and one of the founding members of Burning Man's regional network, which I'm sure he'll explain to you. If not, really interesting to look it up later, how it all comes together. But he spent decades helping grassroots communities to build and come together through things like art and events and connection. And he's going to be here with us today to give us some lessons of this iconic and enduring community experiment that has existed for a very long time and is really the icon within this unique community world. So please help me welcome Stephen Raspa to the stage.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much, Margot. Show of hands, do we have any members of the Burning Man community in the audience? Hello, friends. Show of hands, how many people did not know that Burning Man had a global community network? Okay, well, I'm very pleased to be able to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, let me give you a sense of what Burning Man is and is not. So the media usually describes us as a festival, but we actually don't relate to that title at all, because a festival in contemporary times, as we experience it, often has to do with sponsors and big name acts and people going to consume at gatherings. And Burning Man is quite the opposite. We have no main stage or headliners. We don't book any talent, and we seek to create a decommodified space with no branding or commercial transactions. Is Burning Man a spiritual pilgrimage? Well, that is an aspect of it. Rather than having a specific dogma or specificity that might divide us, we seek to create a civic or social ritual. And there is a pilgrimage and a ritualistic aspect to Burning Man, to going there, to sharing experience, to experience what some people call collective effervescence together. I'm very proud that we have people from all world religions that come and find something redeeming about humanity, including atheists that just believe in the power of art. Are we a big old sculpture park? Well, certainly art is essential to the experience. In fact, it's centered quite a bit in how we form relationships, as I'll tell you. But it's much more than a sculpture park. You can take bigger risks creatively if you're an artist. The range of human expression is staggering. It does not fit in any contemporary art boxes. And I tend to like to think of it more as an Olympics of human expression, and even sometimes a culture made up of many cultures. Are we an innovation laboratory? Many people do come to Burning Man with new technologies and prototypes to test. I think here of ecozoic toilets and also ship pod tents. There have been many green technology groups that have come out and social apps that sometimes bring things as creative projects and later develop social benefit or commercial applications, so that's not necessarily the point. So this is very true that innovation and experimentation is a huge part of our culture. What we are is an event that is organized in an actual temporary city with up to 80,000 citizens annually. We operate for 8 days and nights. The only thing sold is ice to avoid food spoilage and because it's actually rather nice to have frosty beverages in the desert, I must confess. We have at the center of the crescent of our city over 400 placed art pieces, but there are thousands throughout our city. We as organizers provide the basic city layout, the street signs, the infrastructure, the permits, insurance, emergency services. We don't provide any trash bins. Why? Because we're the largest Leave No Trace event. And we're essentially an experimentation in civic innovation, and more than that, a social experiment. We're an experiment in society when you take a bunch of freedom-loving artists that create a version of society according to their own underlying values. We used to refer to ourselves as an experiment in temporary community, but the social experiment has definitely evolved, as I will be sharing with you. It's important to mention here that in our temporary city, our citizens work collaboratively, and social bonds are essentially formed through hard work together and making large creative projects of one kind or another. Hundreds of art installations, as I mentioned, over 1,200 theme camps offering a multitude of different experiences, mutant vehicles or art cars driving around as the public transportation system, all gifted. Our social cohesion and sense of belonging are very high among our citizens. Surveys indicate that people often come for the art, in some cases for the party, but they stay for the community and the sense of belonging. And a huge part of that is that our people co-create the entire city and experience with us. And they bring what they love and gift that to one another. Our gifting economy leads to a kind of culture of social and experiential abundance. And it's really quite refreshing as an alternative to the commodified existence that many of us live year-round. As our late founder, Larry Harvey, used to say, we make the hive, but our community really brings the honey. So now let's talk about the network. Let's flash back to 1997. So Burning Man began on Baker Beach in 1986. We moved to the desert in 1990. By 1997, something special happened. The culture began to jump other places. In 1997, a member of our community, the fellow in the middle, whose name is George Papp, also known as Saint Tiki because he used to run a tiki bar at Burning Man and loved it, he threw a fundraiser for us in Austin, Texas, because in 1997 we were broke. We didn't know if we could do the event again the following year. He organized a little fundraiser, sent us $500. We said, who are you? And he said, well, you know, I love this experience, I love this culture, and I just want to help. In 1998, in June, he organized an event, Burning Flipside, which went on to become our first regional gathering. Around the same time, there was a fellow, Zach Bolin, in Calgary, Canada. And he was organizing burner meetups. Nobody told him to do that. He was just sharing the experience with people in his creative scene. Also around that time, a fellow, Scott McEwen, in the North Bay of the Bay Area, popped up. And we put 3 little flames on a map of the world. They were our first 3 self-selected regional contacts, or basically community facilitators or ambassadors in a way. I like people to know that our network began both organically and with an act of generosity, because I've seen some of the most amazing things in our community start with an act of generosity of one kind or another. It's important to mention that Burning Man's culture is philosophically grounded in 10 guiding principles. And these were not written down until 2004, well into the social experiment. And they were also not written for Burning Man, the event itself. They were written for the global network that had started to grow organically around the world. And when they came and asked us what was important and what should we do and how should we do it, and maybe they even wanted a press release, we didn't give them a press release. Instead, we gave them 10 guiding principles that described what was important about the culture and that had emerged organically over the years from doing our annual event. They are rooted in action. They require critical thinking. They're not rules, but rather guidelines meant to encourage critical thinking. And they reflect our values as a community. I invite you to read the full descriptions of them. We don't have time to go through them, but you will find that some of them are in opposition to one another, or apparently, in some ways, they're part of a social operating system for our culture to move around the world. So what started as an experiment in temporary community, as I mentioned to you, has grown over the years into an experiment in year-round, globally distributed community. And there are things happening every day around the world. The mission of the nonprofit Burning Man Project has grown to facilitate that culture which began in the desert through our annual event out into the larger world. our global network is fundamental to that mission. And we hope to encourage a more creative, connected, more thriving version of society through rapid iteration and allowing our culture to take shape in many different ways around the world. It's also important, perhaps, to mention that we take a cultural exchange or a learning approach. It's not a top-down approach. It is not unilateral. It is definitely multi-directional. In fact, our regional contacts are expected to tell us as much what is going on in their communities as much as convey to them helpful information as well. Right now in the formal network, we have 235 volunteer regional contacts and about 85 official annual regional events in 105 regions across 34 countries. But over the years, we've actually had gatherings on every continent. We have 3 peer-based volunteer leadership groups that help to guide the network, and a handful of us that I can count on pretty much one hand supporting the network. What we try to offer is standards and support, but with a great deal of latitude for personal reflection. So for example, we do have a regional contact agreement. We have a behavioral standards document they agreed to sign, but we offer them great latitude on how they want to do the role to meet the needs of what's in their own community. We have an official event intellectual property agreement and criteria and an officializing process to recognize events that wish to go out into the world and produce gatherings under the same guiding principles. We have leadership gatherings online and in person. We offer many kinds of do-it-yourself templates, everything from how to do your own town hall to how to organize a local leadership gathering to many best practices. We also have a library of resources for our regional contacts, for official event organizers, and significantly, we also welcome members of our community to upload tools and templates that they find helpful. I think of it sometimes as a growing Library of Alexandria of community organization. We also have discussion lists around roles and topics. We have a co-learning program in Black Rock City. We offer free trainings in a platform we call Hive, which is a white label version of Mighty Networks. And we spend a lot of time doing one-on-one meetings and offering coaching and often dealing with crisis management of one kind or another. Some impact measures that are meaningful to us are that last year at those 85 official regional events, there were over 100,000 people that gathered. That is bigger than our annual event. It's bigger than us. And they gave 1.77 million equivalent in art grants. Burning Man gives about another 1.4, so collectively we're giving about $3.2 million annually supporting art and culture around the world, which in some cases is larger than your average city's entire art grant budget. I know many of you have much larger networks, but we're proud that we have nearly 1 million people sharing the culture actively in social media channels that they manage. Last year, we had 5 self-organized local leadership gatherings. But really, the greater impact is the thousands of related community gatherings, art fundraisers, theme camp things, civic projects, art walks, leave no trace events, wearing French maid outfits. One of the most rewarding parts of the work that our team does and our network is that our community constantly surprises us by the wonderful things that they think up to bring the culture to life locally. Everything from film screenings in Shanghai to theme camps on front porches. The image on the upper left is a pie shoot during COVID when we could not run, we couldn't have our event. So this group and many others that would normally have a theme camp at Burning Man created theme camps on their front porches, and in this case delivered individually wrapped pies at a safe social distance to their neighbors. They started meeting their neighbors. Many regional contacts have told us that this role is deeply meaningful, though often challenging. What they enjoy most is connection. They love helping burners find each other, build relationships, and intentionally grow strong communities where they show up for one another in times of personal crisis as well as in joyful times. They enjoy inspiring creativity, encouraging others to step up with new ideas or new art projects, new creative offerings, and the role pushes them to grow as people. They also love witnessing transformation when there are newcomers to the culture that come for the first time, curious, and then end up participating fully in the culture and even becoming community organizers in time. But it's not easy work. A few of the challenges that they have reported to us include community conflict and negativity. Who out there has community conflict? Raise your hands. It's a big one for us. It's year-round community. How do you keep all these people that love the culture so much agreeing with one another and getting along? Leadership turnover and lack of engagement can be a challenge. It can be hard to maintain momentum year over year, particularly in highly demanding roles. And they complain sometimes that there's an administrative load to managing all of these social networks and an emotional toll that it can take. They love creating connection, particularly in person, but keeping it going online is particularly tough. Some of the top challenges that our regional event organizers report are, again, staffing related, mostly keeping people on their boards, because many of these groups have created nonprofits and community entities of their own. And they're volunteer run. There are a few that compensate for roles, but it's almost entirely based on volunteerism. The second and third and fourth and fifth challenges are really quite common for anyone organizing events: finding the right venues, getting affordable insurance, dealing with weather, finding places where you can make some sound and have a diverse range of sound experience. Beyond our formal network, there have been numerous applications to neighborhoods and cities, including urban planning and prototyping, disaster response, responding to refugee crises around the world. I love particularly, there was a book that was written on attributing Burning Man to helping restore a sense of good old-fashioned neighborliness. And we've even been studied for how to potentially create conditions for peace in cities, because we have people from both ends of the political spectrum that identify as burners. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned that we have another whole network, because in 2005, members of our community went straight from Burning Man to help people that were affected by Hurricane Katrina, who had lost their homes. And that led to Burners Without Borders, which seeks to unlock the creativity of local communities to solve problems for themselves that bring about meaningful change. We provide the network for them to self-organize and to go and do wonderful things in the world. So we seek to support and facilitate creative, collaborative, community-based social impact work. It's everything from building new schools in remote areas to homeless support programs to addressing loneliness and isolation. And they, too, have 32 active chapters and working groups around the world. And each of their chapters has their own distinct culture and interests. So there's also overlap between our regional network and our BWB network, just to make things interesting. I want to share with you a couple of fun examples that started outside our network, but then were helped to propagate through our network. And one includes members of our community who, back in 2005, took over a parking spot, laid down sod, put trees and a bench, and created a park in a parking spot. We loved this idea so much, we gave them a grant in 2007 to create this mobile bicycle-powered park, which takes up 3 parking spots. But we also encouraged them to create a template, because we saw that if you have a template and you share it with your network, it can propagate quickly. And that template helped encourage parklet experiments around the world and International Parking Day. Later, these parklets became lifelines for many businesses during COVID. What I love is that in San Francisco, at one point, we had 50 of them, a commercial permit process and a residential permit process, and they really enhanced the street life. And Parking Day continues. It will be again this September. As a final example, years ago, a member of our community independently decided what would happen if he brought the 10 principles of Burning Man to an empty commercial space. So he persuaded the landlord to let him use it for 1 month, rent-free, and during that month, the community hosted over 119 events in those 30 days, including job skills, social benefit programs, a community garden, all sorts of things. It was so fun, they extended another month, and then the place was rented. Apparently with the paintings on it. It went on to be replicated in numerous locations around the world, and they had a temporary network of their own for a while. This program also in San Francisco helped to lay the groundwork for a program which is continuing called Vacant to Vibrant, where the San Francisco Downtown Business Association, Office of Economic and Workforce Development, help make rented commercial spaces available to artists and also startup businesses. So why has our network and culture thrived? Well, I think that the 10 guiding principles have a lot to do with it. We have standards and tools that are meant to be adaptable locally. We did not take a Burning Man approach to things. We really place focus on shared experiences and human relationships, and I mean really authentic and deep, caring human relationships. We allow our regional contacts autonomy on how to build community to respond to their local needs. We definitely encourage creativity and innovation. And we seek to advance the culture through peer-to-peer sharing and storytelling. Ultimately, we celebrate authentic expression of the culture over uniformity. I was asked by Beth from CMX, what are some of the things that keep me up at night? And one is definitely, how can we continue to scale authentic human relationships when there's so few of us? And one answer is clearly moving even more to peer-to-peer. We, as a team, have to think a lot about the commodification of our culture. We're really in constant threat by people that want to use our IP in different countries to sell products or services, and that's really not the idea. But we actually maintain our IP as sort of a community asset. I'm a little worried about fragmentation of our network right now when anti-American sentiment is taking shape in certain places. I had to go to 2 town halls with members of our community in Canada. Hello, people from Canada, we really love you. Our little team worries about sufficient resources for our growing network. We don't require a financial payment from any of our official gatherings. I'd like to share with you that we made a really dumb business decision, but for the right reason, because we wanted to encourage a global cultural movement. Dumb business decision, right decision for the culture. And we think a lot about engaging future generations and passing the torch well. You can't have a cultural movement without children. We are right now in the process of a network evolution project to build an even more resilient, inclusive, and scalable network that has involved people from 14 different countries looking at 27 years of information and annual reports from our regional contacts and afterburn reports from official events. And we are rethinking right now our network structure, the design of the regional contact role, how we can address some of the challenges, and really looking towards the future. And a lot of that really is moving to more and more of a peer support network. So I have about a minute here. I just want to share with you some possible takeaways. You might consider taking a principled approach, and what would that mean for you? I would encourage you to encourage collaborative, bottom-up, community-driven solutions because we've seen it lead to so many meaningful things we never even imagined. I don't need to really say this next one. I've heard it all day long, the focus on relationship building and being flexible and evolutionary in attitude. That also came up a lot today, didn't it? I wanted to allow a little time for an exercise, but I see I've used up my time, so perhaps you can just think for a moment to yourself, Was there a time when your community created something that was so powerful and meaningful that you didn't tell them what to do? And what were the conditions that allowed that to happen? Can you do more of that? What do you need to hold as standard to stand for what you are in the world? And what can you let your community run with? I'll also leave you with some other questions that you can ask yourself and your teams later. These are also in your workbook, but these questions flow from the approach that we've taken, and you're welcome to think about it in relationship to your work. I want to thank you all for your work as community builders. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. And if you think that somehow experiencing Burning Man will be helpful to your own community networks, then reach out to me. I know a certain rabbit that has access to purchasing directed tickets. I would just ask that if you come and if you learn something from our culture, please do something good in the world. We certainly need to do that now. Thank you.